Welcome to the Bearded PM. Most projects don't fail because of bad planning. They fail because no one planned for what can actually go wrong. Something I know that many of us have probably failed to do before. But when it comes to the PMP exam, risk management is something that is tested, but it's also something that's misunderstood for a lot of students out there. So in this video, I'm going to break down those steps for project risk management and put them in some plain language. So that way, if you're studying for the PMP, you get some extra knowledge. If you're already a PMP and you're working in the project management field, this is something you can easily take away and start applying it in your projects. Just give you that extra edge and help you succeed a little more. My goal is to show you why this process right here of risk management, it can both make or break your project and your exam. So again, if you're studying for the PMP, you've probably noticed that risk, it's going to show up everywhere. It's in planning, it's in monitoring, controlling. On the exam content outline, it's spread across 2 of the 3 domains. And it often sneaks into those situational questions that I know that I love from all my time studying and working with students now, but I know you love as you go along your PMP journey with those special situational based questions that PMIs come up with. But risk management isn't just about passing an exam. It's about becoming the kind of project leader who can see around the corners and they can figure out what is going to attack my project in the future. It helps you earn trust with your teams and helps you earn trust and guide your stakeholders along the way. So let's not delay it. Let's jump into those steps around project risk management. All right, step 1 is simple but crucial. Plan risk management. This is where you create your strategy for handling risks. You get to answer the questions on who's involved, how will risks be categorized, what tools or templates are you going to use. This step is not just planning, it's planning how you're going to plan your risk management processes throughout your project. And it helps set the tone for everything that follows once you complete that and move into actual execution. Remember, failure to plan is planning to fail. And risk management is one of those areas where you can't afford to fail as a project manager. Once we get done with planning, the next step is we want to move into identifying risks. This is where things like brainstorming become important. To identify risks, you have to have plenty of tools sitting in that good old risk management treasure chest, waiting for you to just pull out and use on your project. Things like lessons learned, interviews, checklists, SWOT analysis, all of these different items can help you show not just what will go wrong for your project, but maybe what will even go right and help you find those opportunities that you can capitalize in your project to both save you money, time, and resources, something your senior stakeholders are going to love you for. But even if you can't act on any of those risks right away, the whole trick here is identifying everything as much as you can, because awareness becomes everything when it comes to risk management. Hey, quick selfless plug here. If you're struggling with risk identification, or you're not sure how to get the team moving with your risk identification, then you need to check out the link in the description below to my course on how to run a risk workshop. The most comprehensive course on planning, running, and everything you need to do the workshop, even including all the materials you need after the workshop's complete. This course is set up to set you up as a risk planning professional and get your project set up for success from the very beginning. Again, use that link down in the description or head over to 44pmtrainingacademy.com. I'll see you there. Now on to qualitative risk analysis. All right, so next up, we're going to move into analysis. This is step 3, but we're going to call it 3 alpha or 3A for those who don't have a military background. And we're going to talk about the easier of the analyses within risk management, qualitative risk analysis. In simple terms here, you're going to answer 2 specific questions. What is the likelihood of the risk happening? And how bad would it be if it did happen? Often we refer to this as the impact of that risk. You then can use that to help rank your risks from top to bottom, usually using a matrix, a heat map, or a good risk register. If you don't have one, again, link down below. I'll throw down there a free download for my project risk assessment template, which can be your risk matrix to build this out. But the thing is, you're looking for those different levels of risk, something that's high probability, high impact. You're going to probably mark that in the red because you know you need to address that right now. And if it's low impact, low likelihood, then you're fine to just throw that down as a monitor for right now. But you need to make sure that you're continually reassessing throughout your project. Something that's low impact, low likelihood right now can easily turn into a higher impact and a higher likelihood as the project progresses. So once you get done with your qualitative risk analysis, now we're moving into step 3 Bravo or 3B, which is quantitative risk analysis. Now, for this, you're going to hear a lot of people say that you don't have to always go to quantitative risk analysis. I get what they're saying, but it is ideal that as a risk professional that you actually go through and do even a simple level of quantitative risk analysis for your projects. And if you disagree with me on that, I encourage you to go check out The Failure of Project Risk Management. I have a book review over that at the riskblog.com. Phenomenal book, and it'll get you all spun up and ready to do quantitative risk analysis at every opportunity you have. So when you go through and you do quantitative risk analysis, you're assigning numbers to the chaos around your risks. We're thinking of things here like Monte Carlo and simulations, EMV, expected monetary value, decision trees, and various types of modeling. The trick here is to find the capability, the whatever resource you can use to actually do it. Monte Carlo simulations are going to be hard to find. You either have to build that yourself, or you're probably going to have to pay someone to give you a good program. But you can do other things like a decision tree analysis and expected monetary value. These are all areas that you can easily implement in your projects to help refine what you do for your decision making. Because that's the goal behind quantitative risk analysis. This is where you're helping leadership and yourself to make data-driven calls on high stakes, high uncertainty risks. Something we all know, the better the data, the better the decisions. Which is why you want to take the highest risks from your qualitative risk analysis and run them through your quantitative risk analysis. If something is a low probability, low impact, there's probably no point to putting it through quantitative risk analysis. But you definitely want to take that high risk, high probability and look at what are the quantitative impacts it will have on your project. Because remember, it's not just about fear. That risk management is not about creating fear. It's about giving the facts to the leadership so they can make decisions on how the project is going to move forward. Next, we have planned risk responses. You've found the threats. You've sized them up. Now it's time to act. Are you going to avoid it? Are you going to mitigate it? Are you going to transfer it? Or are you going to accept it? Your big goal here is to find a method for responding to your risks. The key here is ownership too. Every risk you keep on your list needs a name next to it. That is your risk owner, someone who's actually going to look after and make sure that that risk is turning into an issue. Because you as the project manager or the risk manager, you can't do this all yourself. Make sure that you are assigning the right stakeholders to manage the individual risks on your projects. The next step we have is monitoring and closing your risks. Look, you've done a lot of work up to this point. Don't become like my wife and go killing the plants she keeps trying to buy and grow. You can't let your risk register just sit out there dry and fall apart. Keep your risk register up to date. As new risks pop up, go through the process. Go through a qualitative and quantitative analysis. Assign a response and a risk owner. I don't care how good you are. How many years you've been doing this in, your level of proficiency. And I don't even care if your project is the most simple project that's ever existed in the land of project management. Risk identification and your risk register cannot be built in the beginning of the project and never touched again. Manage your risks and the register and keep your risks up to date, and you will have a better chance of succeeding with risk management. And then our last step overall, close the risks. This step can throw people off, especially on the exam. Remember, you cannot close out the project until all your risks are closed out first. Risks that never materialize into issues, great. You don't have to worry about them. But you still need to finish the documentation and close out each individual risks. Closing risks is not hard, but it can be an administrative task that can throw you off. And it can really hurt any lessons learned for yourself or the next PM if you just shrug it off. Make sure that you're putting as much effort into closing out your risk register and your risks, just like you do when you close out the project. You got to put the effort in to help you succeed later. Now on to some PMP tips and some common traps you might see on your exam. So if you're studying for the PMP, the exam is not just about definitions. It's going to test how you think, how you put everything we just talked about together and you actually apply it in our project. If you have a risk response that was implemented, but the issue came back anyways, what should you do as the project manager? Are you going to escalate, maybe develop a fallback plan that you're going to do so that way you can readjust for that issue? If so, why are you going to do it? Or maybe you're mixing up risk response planning with monitoring risks. Planning is proactive. You're looking into the future to see what you're going to do. Monitoring is what you're doing during execution. So if you're studying for the PMP, you need to understand risk management. There's not maybe a ton of questions on it, but there's going to be questions. And if you're already certified, you might think you've done risk management before and this has nothing to do with you. But here's the deal. Most PMs, they do the bare minimum. They maybe fill out a risk register or run a risk meeting. But great PMs, they run live risk workshops. They model risk and they coach their teams to own it. Risk isn't just a control process. It's a leadership skill, one that you as a PM are responsible for keeping up. So here's the next step I need you to take. If you're still preparing for the PMP, make sure you check out one of my upcoming PMP exam prep courses, linked below in the description. I don't just teach you the mandatory material, I stress risk management along the way. My goal for you is not just to pass the exam. You will, but I want you to succeed afterwards as well. In the Marine Corps, we used to say, know your target and what lies beyond it. Your target is the PMP, but what happens beyond that? You are actually going to be in the hot seat leading a project. And my goal is that when that happens, you are able to succeed. And if you're already leading projects, again, go check out that How to Run a Risk Workshop course. That one's built for PMs who want to be seen as the risk leaders of their organization. And don't forget to do me a favor, like this video, comment what are your thoughts around risk management? What am I missing that you're not getting? And then hit subscribe so that way when I answer that question, you get notified. Because every week I'm dropping content around project management, risk management, and project leadership, all in the focus to help you think like a better project leader. And if you're taking your exams, not just pass the test, but succeed afterwards. Just like I talk about in this video right here, where I talk about the 5 harsh truths about being a project manager. Project risk is real, but it doesn't have to be confusing. You've got this. Let's get after it. Stay proactive over reactive. I'm Russ Parker, the bearded PM. See you next week. Out.